Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So here's the year in review part 3, being done in traditional kind of fashion at the last possible time at nearly the 11th hour. I do have a couple of days left, but we're approaching the time where it's going to be the live stream for New Year's Eve, and obviously I wanted to get this video done before that. Now, the problem with this video is what it usually is that we're going through a bunch of content and there simply is not enough time to get through all of it. I can tell you, I will give you the final total at the very end of the video, but I'll tell you we approached 12 days worth of content on the channel yet again this year. A little bit less than last time, but more videos. So it's one of those cases where the live streams themselves were a little bit shorter on average comparatively to last year, believe it or not. Because we didn't have any 7 or 8 hour things this time around. But we did have a pretty consistent stream of live streams throughout the year, including a couple of impromptus and a couple of different things. I cannot possibly go through all the different things, but I want to say off the top, I want to thank everybody who came on to one of the episodes or who participated in the chat, who made wonderful comments throughout the course of the year and supported the channel in various ways. I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end, but since I'm going to do it in this way, I will show you some clips. I'll kind of intersperse them a little bit. We use a little bit of editing magic here to kind of cut in some of the time in between, but I will share a little bit of audio and some video on some of these specific things because I'll talk about some collaborations and stuff first, and then we'll finish with kind of a highlight of some stuff from the live streams, some clips that I pulled for you. Now, since I'm doing the collaboration thing, so here's one from Hobbypalooza. Andy, She Blind with Refractors, actually invited me on to Hobbypalooza, possibly to his detriment, but enjoyable nonetheless. A great conversation with Andy. And this is a clip that was specifically asked for a few different folks that they enjoyed. This was actually right at the end of the live stream, and it was a charity stream. And then Andy was actually, in addition to kind of signing off for us, he also alluded to what was going to be the next one on the Hobbypalooza schedule. And my reaction is basically what I think folks specifically were asking about. So I'll play the last little bit of this live stream too, and kind of keep an eye on my face when Andy gives it. I did know who was coming up next, but since people requested it, here's the clip.
I think we have Sports Card Live coming up next, so we will.
Yes, very exciting. I was thrilled beyond measure that such a wonderful, wonderful show was as something live. But nonetheless, moving on, more collaborations throughout the course of the year. There were a few different ones, and I'll kind of I won't play clips from all of them. I'll showcase a few of them just for you. So going kind of chronologically, one of them earlier ones in the year was Rolling with FD, who invited me to be on the channel. So I was able to pop on and join him for that. That was a fun conversation on his What's the Play show that he does. Secondly, right after that, a couple of different times throughout the course of the year, I was invited to be on with Big Scott 35. So this is with myself, Big Scott, and Natsman. So hopefully Natsman feel better. Hopefully things are going well for you. But I was invited to be on this one with those guys, and then later on with Bobbles and Ball Cards, who will be featured a little bit more on the live stream side of things because I did a couple different things with Bobbles. Now, speaking of Bobbles and Ball Card, he had his thing going on for a little bit with Refractor Jones, so that's currently on hiatus, but it may come back at some point. We'll see what happens. They were doing their episodes of what was called the Card Chatter, and there was an episode where Refractor Jones wasn't able to make it in, so Bobbles invited me to come on and chat with him. This one's audio only, but it was a fun episode. I did enjoy doing it with him, and I appreciated that he was nice enough to invite me. Now, not included in this is that Bobbles has gotten back into doing more live streams, so I did join him for a couple of those as well as Bowman53 Alex, who has been doing his own live streams, and I've joined him for a couple of those. So I wasn't able to pull any clips or anything for you, but I did enjoy visiting on those different channels, and I always appreciate when someone is nice enough to reach out and ask me to come on, and I'm more than happy. I'm generally, within reason, more than happy to do it, so it's a lot of fun for me to kind of go in and then chat about whatever they want to chat about, so that's always enjoyable. Now, originally for this portion, I was actually going to go through, I had made a whole list of a bunch of different stuff throughout the course of the year and kind of put dates and timestamps and things. Like I said, I had ambitious thoughts and ambitious aims for this episode, but in reality, once I started getting down to it, I realized just how unwieldy the thing was going to be. Even at the time that I'm recording now, this is a private watch list that I have that I actually add every episode or anything that I do throughout the course of the channel onto so that I can kind of keep track. This allows me to keep a loose track of exactly how many different videos have gone on the channel this year, as well as basically the runtime, because I can use a couple of applications online to give me the general runtime. That's how I know there was so much runtime on this year's content, so to speak. But even as I'm talking right now to you, I've got 206 different episodes slash videos slash whatever on the channel, pieces of content on the channel, 206. This one is 207. The live stream is going to be 208. And that's assuming I don't come up with anything else that I want to get in just before the end of the line. Most likely that'll be the end of it. So consider it to be 208 different pieces of content, 208 different videos on the channel in 2022. with a runtime of some really high number. At the very end of this, I'll actually tabulate the total minus this specific video. And then you can just imagine another 3 or 4 hours tacked onto the end of that. And that's the runtime on this year's content for 2022. Now, with that said, though, even though I'm not going to go into the painstaking detail that I did on here, I'm going to scan through a couple of these really quick because I want to give you a breadth of it. And I was watching Neo's Cards and Comics like year in review video that he did himself, and I agree with his assessment. This year felt like 2 or 3 years in one because of the sheer amount of stuff that was going on. And I feel good that the channel covered a lot of different things, especially the stuff that I really thought was more interesting or the stuff that I felt like was more pertinent to a lot of what was going on. Now, that is to say, I'm not even going to pretend that I covered, even half of what was out there. Because if you wanted to go into the more scandal side of things and you really fixated on a lot of those aspects of it, then you could have made 900, 1,000 videos, I'm sure, and still had plenty of material left over, without question. But I tried to focus on certain things that I thought were most interesting or thoughts that I think would be good topics of debate. A lot of other stuff we talked about during the live streams themselves, but they didn't stand alone as a separate piece of content, even though they certainly could have been standalone videos. And like I said, I could have gotten 2 or 3 or 5 times as many videos out easily without even skipping a beat. That said, we did cover a lot of ground, I felt, with a lot of stuff that I thought was interesting. Starting right in January, right here, and this is all in chronological order. So you can see right from the beginning, Logan Paul's $3.5 million. So this was the $3.5 million Pokemon case that BBC authenticated and didn't do a great job of it, but launched 1,000 memes about we all got duped, agreed, which was a lot of fun. Now, even though, like I said, I am going to go through, I'm not going to go line by line. I'm not going to go video by video. I'm not going to bore you with that, but I will go through a couple of high-end ones as I scroll through this list. However, since this was a particular favorite of mine early on in the channel for this year, I will show you a little clip that I did have for one of the live streams that we had a little bit of fun with.
The reason why I was mostly concerned was because the person who brought it to me, he had so many inconsistencies, so much inconsistencies in the stories. It was like 3, 4 different stories. That was my issue. If this is fake, we're all in trouble because it looks so good. There's first edition packs in there. We're golden. The case value of this is gonna double, triple.
It would legitimately be verifiably 100% the only sealed case in the world that is 100% real.
Oh my
Yes!
god!
Oh my god!
Yes!
Oh my god!
Motherfucker! Wait, hold on. Okay, that's a good sign. What?
Why are they so puffy? Why are they so puffy though?
Why doesn't this one say first edition on it?
Oh no!
Yeah.
No,
That's
not
gonna
like
be
this.
the mother.
Not like this. Oh my god! Oh my god, bro! G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe! It could have been anything else!
And I know I'm kind of going a little bit out of order on that one, but that was just a fun one. And it was very pertinent to this specific video and this specific set of videos pertaining to it. So I thought it'd be a little fun to do that. What I'm going to do, like I said, I'll go through a couple of these that I thought were really high level that I just want to bring to your attention, that I enjoyed doing during the year. And then, like I said, I'll finish off the thoughts about a couple of collaborations because I do have 2 more clips from a collaboration that I didn't mention in that first bit, but that's because I actually have video clips to share with you that I thought were kind of fun. So we'll get back to that in a second. So I'll zip through a couple of these. Fanatics then bought Tops. So that had its own impromptu live, which was a pretty big and interesting one. Not too much has come out of it. I don't think too much has changed the Tops myself, and that'll be something for us to keep an eye out in 2023 to see if we feel like there are any big changes going forward. But initially when it happened, we kind of felt that it wasn't going to be like this overnight change. And it certainly hasn't been, although there's definitely been a lot of different complaints about different aspects of what Tops is doing. And we'll have to see. Like I said, we'll see if that carries over into 2023 and what happens with that. But that was kind of a fun one. Again, this is still January. That's the reason why I kind of ran into this problem. I kept going through all this stuff and I was like, it's only January. My goodness. But that's how it turned out. Then here I got to speak with Billy Celio for the first time in the year regarding 2021 Upper Deck AEW, talking about that a little bit. I was able to bookend that later on in the year with a secondary conversation where we talked about Spectrum, we talked about 2022 Flagship, we got to talk about Allure, we got to talk about a lot of the other products that are coming, and Metal a little bit as well. So we had a little bit of fun with that. So this was the live stream that specifically talked about the Pokemon case, and that was at the very beginning of that stream is where I played that video that I just showed you a clip of. So that was kind of fun. And then Mark's Cards. So that was a big one this year. And then we did the fallout from Mark's Cards here on episode 69. Put your own jokes in. Then the 2022 YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame video, which I take very seriously. As you know, we have YouTube Hall of Famer Bob Lewis regularly on the channel, so we have to take that very seriously, this part of it. SGC updates and eBay card authentication service. So this was when eBay started its authentication, which has taken on a couple of different changes throughout the course of the year. So that's been a big thing. Like I said, as I go through these videos here and these different topics, it kind of follows the flow of the way the year went. And that's one of the things that I found interesting as I kept going through it is like, yeah, it's a pretty good time capsule of what happened. The CEO of Starstock Speaks. This was all the way back at the beginning of the year. Like all of this is this year. Going forward, let me skip ahead a little bit more. Update on Mark's cards. There was plenty in that. The Jason Dominguez Superfractor sale. And I did a comp of that with an Albert Pujols card, and I kind of explained that it didn't make sense for Jason Dominguez to be selling for such a ridiculous amount. Again, this is the beginning of the year still. Beginning of the year. Relative to a first ballot Hall of Famer like Pujols. And then by the end of the year, Pujols had a resurgence, hit 700 home runs. There was a lot that happened during the course of the year. Skipping ahead a little bit here, we did have an impromptu post Super Bowl live. Had a little bit of fun with that, so that was enjoyable. I think I'll try to do that again in 2023. I do enjoy having a little discussion post Super Bowl, but we'll kind of plan it out a little bit more. Now moving forward here, influencers and protecting yourself. So I did a lot of those BIC audio versions throughout the course of the year, which is always fun for me. But one of those things where the idea of protecting yourself from influencers, that's a topic that kept rotating around throughout the course of the year. So that was 9 months ago, probably closer to 10, but that was the thing here. Now here on this discussion was latent sports cars in that Las Vegas break for those exquisite boxes. This is during that time period when the chase was on to try to find the LeBron James triple logo man. So again, early part of the year, you can just imagine like we barely even moved here, and I'm still going down through this. Fanatics acquires a WWE license. Since then, Fanatics has released a bunch of different WWE products. WWE Prism came in with much fanfare. Started off at these ridiculously high prices, and then came down because a lot of it didn't make any sense. And at the time that I discussed this, we had a little bit of a discussion about it, and I had a little bit of fun with that in the video, and talked about a little bit more about that. So abject lesson, fully doing your own research, and hype casual bidders and WWE Prism at all costs. So at that point, I did a little bit of a further discussion about some of the WWE Prism prices I was seeing, and relative to also comparing it to Topps Chrome and a couple of different things. That was a video I had a lot of fun with. So here's the second time that I had talked to Billy Cilio directly pertaining to AEW and wrestling cards. So we had another discussion later on. Now here's where we get to a part of two videos that I want to bring to your attention because those were a lot of fun for me. One of them was what is good card content? My response. So that was a response to an interview that Sports Card Anonymous did before he retired and then subsequently unretired 47 times. He did an interview with Chris and Christina from Card Ladder where they were talking about what they consider to be good content. And the cause of that discussion was that Chris at that time had gone in on quite an Instagram storm, sending out a bunch of different messages talking about, clown content and making about a bunch of judgment calls about different kinds of content, trying to direct his attention in one place, but missing the mark because he refused to name them specifically and then kind of left it open-ended to kind of target a whole bunch of content. And this was kind of their discussion, kind of trying to talk down some of the points. And it was a lot of fun, but I had a lot of fun breaking that down as well. So it's one of those things where Dakota did a great job in terms of what he was discussing, but at the same time, there was a lot of room to critique a lot of elements of it. And in all honesty, you can see from the runtime of an hour and a half, that was part one. I ended up doing the part two for the rest of the conversation, and I had a lot of stuff that I broke down on that. I'm not getting what I'm actually supposed to be getting. Hashtag scholarship. We're falling well short of hashtag scholarship, Mr. Hoge. Very short of some real hashtag scholarship. For goodness sake, I brought actual scholarship to this ridiculous video that I'm mocking. Did you bring scholarship? So this one here is where we did the Hobby Talk live after that. And that's where we had Dakota on and he had the chance to kind of chat a little bit about it as well. And then I did do the part two right after that. So these were kind of in sequence, Hobby Talk 79, Hobby Talk 80. And then after 100, I stopped putting the numbers on those. So that happened later on in the year. But during this sequence, those two videos I'm very proud of because I really enjoyed, especially the first one. I really enjoyed doing the breakdown of that conversation. Here you've got a nice live stream excerpt. So if you don't want to watch a whole live stream, occasionally if there was something interesting, I would pull a clip of it in order to share some specific knowledge. So Jay, who occasionally joins in on the channel for the live streams, actually is a collector who has some of the star cards, especially from the 80s, including what was then one of the some of the few that were actually graded by PSA prior to them putting a kibosh on that for a long time. So he was able to share some knowledge on 80s star cards, especially 80s star basketball cards. So it was a great clip included in that. Now here you can see how the year went, because again, this is the middle point of the year, and you've got PSA value returns at $30 per card. And then obviously by the end of the year, we ended up getting to a $15 special. And, people were asking us like, oh, is the price not going to drop further, or is it going to drop further? And obviously throughout the course of the year, it changed a number of different times. Talking about Hobby Palooza cameo and upcoming collaborations. So that was that clip I shared with you guys from the Hobby Palooza where I may have rolled my eyes potentially at the next one coming up. Now this next one here, I'll actually share a little clip it for you because this was the Canada Day episode. And this is where, if you guys remember, Eric had predicted, the collapse of the sports card market and hobby doom, basically the zombie apocalypse of the hobby that we're still in the midst of even as we speak. And I did have a little bit of fun with the intro for that specific episode. So that was a lot of fun for me to set up. And actually what I'm going to do, I'll play it since it's a specific clip it at the very beginning. I will play it for you right now, similar to what I did for the Logan Paul one, because it was a very special intro for that specific episode. So this is what played at the very beginning of that July 1st episode. So there you go. You can see I enjoyed having the dramatic intros to a few of those live stream episodes. And then if you do watch that episode, right within the first couple of minutes of it, not only do you get that intro, but you also get Eric's attempt at being a thespian. And I'm not sure if even the local theater troupe accepted him. I don't think he made the audition. I don't think it worked out for him. But hey, the attempt was made. An attempt was made. It was a dramatic opening. I did have a lot of fun with that episode, especially since we had months and months and months to kind of enjoy the outcome, because it happened to fall right on Canada Day, which made it a lot of fun. Now, right after that, funny enough, the next one was What's Old is New Again. I believe that was the episode where I had a little bit of fun talking about old Kenny Golden. It also involved a bunch of different clips, which also included Don West. So actually, at the time I'm recording this, now the official announcement was made. I believe that Don West has passed away. So rest in peace, Don West. And I did include a couple fun clips in there, because what's old is new again. And that's kind of what tends to happen in the hobby a lot. A lot of the hobby players, the people that come institutionalized, if they've got a long-standing history, there are a lot of things like that. So it was a fun throwback to bring back some of that stuff. I think it was an enjoyable thing for a lot of us that were around during that time. Now, these two episodes back to back were kind of interesting, because one of them was that I talked about market inefficiencies being a feature, which I still stand by. To me, market inefficiencies are an opportunity if you're willing to exploit it and understand how to exploit it. Additionally, channel sponsorship and bias in content, kind of talking about that was more philosophical kind of videos that I like doing on the channel. So that's one of those ones. Those two I enjoyed doing. This was a video we did, Caution Against Early Adoption Grading Talk. So this is where we're talking about all the different new players in the space. Tag is the one that gets associated with this the most, and then Bobbles did do a subsequent with Tag, which I'll talk about here in a couple minutes. But nonetheless, the idea was any of the new players in the space. I had a lot of the same questions when HGA originally came out, and a lot of the new players came in that space, and I felt like scrutiny needed to be given to these new players just because they existed. Now, scrolling ahead, these next two, it's okay to sit on the sidelines, and the market is the market. I honestly spent a ton of time talking about the market and kind of the philosophy side of things, and I'm very happy with the way a lot of those ones came out. Here, I did a video where I talk about the hobby is not rational, and that's okay. Kind of in this, you're sensing a theme, a bit of a pattern with a lot of these as the year went on. Finally, we're getting to the Fall Expo here. Moving forward, we had Steve Menzie join us to discuss the Fall Expo a little bit as well before the Expo happened, which was a good insight in that regard. Then I did also do the videos from the Expo, and also we did Hobby Live 110, which was the live stream from the Toronto Expo, where I was in the hotel again. And this is where we were joined by Jason from Cards and Comic, who was nice enough to accept my invitation to come on the channel and have a conversation with myself. And Eric was there at the Fall Expo, as well as Bobby and Yannick and a lot of the regular cast of characters. Got to meet some folks, and it was a lot of fun to be able to chat and hang out with those folks. In that vein, thank you again to Jason for joining in the conversation. And I look forward to inviting him back again, because there's still a lot more ground we can cover and a lot of other things that I'd be happy to chat on with him as well. Then here we get into another one of my fun videos of the year. The same way that the card content one was a lot of fun for me at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, two of my favorite videos very close to each other was the behind the card movie review, an industry fluff piece, which is what I talk about. I dusted off my movie review hat and basically put it on to do a little bit of a review of this movie. Now, the video did very well for me. I was super happy with it, but then I was done with it. I wasn't going to move on with it. And you're going to see, it does come back around, which I thought was very funny, and I got a kick out of it. Next year, I did an audio version where I talked about the rest of 2022 and the untapped market theory. Now, this one is a fun one that I bring to your attention, because in this episode, I pull a clip from The Great Curator where he and Merle are talking about, basically planning out pumping up this wrestling card market. So I bring it to your attention because if it comes to pass in 2023, I will refer back to this video. So if you do have some time and want to check it out, I would recommend giving it a listen. It is an audio version, so you can play it in the background. Give it a listen, because I pull an audio clip there that kind of covers the plan, the incredible master plan they have. So it may be interesting to come back to that one if it does come to pass, and if they do go forward with the little plan they were putting together at that time. And also, by the way, I will add that in the description of that particular video, I include a clip to the specific live that it was included in, including it queued up to the section that I pulled the clip from. So you have those references if you want to go back at them and listen to the whole thing in its entirety, get the context and the whole thing, by all means do so. But I included it in the description for you on those videos, as I do with a lot of these other videos when I reference something specific like that. All right, so skipping ahead to three of my favorites in the latter portion of the year. So this one was a behind the card rebuttal. So the director of the film actually ended up spamming a bunch of my comment sections on it. I ended up having a back and forth with them on Instagram. They ended up blocking me, and I explained a lot of that here. They ended up blocking me after I made this rebuttal video. They were basically trying to invite themselves on their channel to do an interview, and I had some fun with it. That's where we were introduced to 3 a.m. Carlos, where he's a little bit ornerier than normal, but realistically, it's very close to Friday live stream Carlos, who's always a little bit ornery anyway. Next up was the Tag Q&A post-game show. So I introduced a little post-game show to a live stream. Baubles and Ball Cards did his own interview with the founder of Tag, and then we had a discussion after the fact based on the conversation and the interview that they did. So that was a lot of fun. Really had a good time with it and enjoyed it. Next up was another conversation with Billy Cilio talking about, as I mentioned earlier, AEW Spectrum, Metal Universe, Allure, and 2022 flagship. So basically the rest of the AEW lineup heading into 2023. So we covered a lot of ground with that. And it's always fun to chat with Billy on this stuff because he's very passionate about it and he puts a lot of thought into a lot of it. So it's kind of cool to get that background if you're interested in that kind of thing. Here is the PPP loan scandal. So that's really the only standalone video I've done on the PPP loan scandal. Kind of shouting out Dan the Cardman as well as EDI Sports Cards, who did some videos related to it, which brought some good information, I felt. So I cited their channels in the description of those as well. So it was kind of fun for that. Again, it's kind of been a time capsule scrolling through all this to see a lot of it. And after that, I also talked a little bit about derivative or repetitive content, which tends to be kind of prevailing in the space for folks that are still making the content. And, you know, myself included, you saw certain themes kept coming up over and over again. I did try to put a different spin on some of it rather than just harping on the same topic over and over again, but sometimes you can't avoid it if you're going to end up talking about this stuff at length. Here I talk about opportunity cost while opening a hobby box of 2021 AEW that was sitting on my desk, and I actually pulled the only autograph I've actually been able to pull out of any of that product, so go figure on that. And at this point, we're basically pretty much up to present day, which is really great. And 2 more AEW blasters for the road. I pulled the Breakouts card of Sting, and that was included in this video here, which takes me up right to the video that I'm recording right now. So we'll see how much of that rundown I end up using. I'll probably skip some of the stuff that I talked about because I felt like I almost ran through every video, even though I was trying to skip the majority of it. But you can see there was a lot of stuff throughout the course of the year and a lot of stuff throughout the course of the channel, but it was kind of fun going through it chronologically just to see all the different stuff. And it's basically the same things that I ended up going through when I started making a list. And it went multiple pages and I was like, all right, forget it. I'm just gonna go through the list myself and try to remember as much as I can as I go through it. So we're going to finish off. That's it for me. I'll say a few more words and then we'll finish off with some clips to end the video. Now, I do want to thank everybody who joined in on the channel. Like I said, participated in the channel, whether it be in the chat, whether it be through engagement, whether it be through comments, whether you're one of the folks that I invited for kind of a one-on-one chat, or one of the folks that joined in on a panel for one of the various live streams that we did throughout the year. We did a live stream every single week through the year. We're going to have one more New Year's Eve coming up here that we're going to do at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Otherwise, in 2023, my plans are to continue doing the videos the way we've been doing them. We're going to continue doing videos on topics that interest me. So that means I will still do some news items, but not all of them. So it's one of those things where I can't promise I'll be able to capture everything or even attempt to, because to me, I am still looking at it through a collector lens. So a lot of the high scale, fraud in the hobby, while it may be interesting and entertaining to kind of rubberneck and watch and enjoy it from a distance, doesn't affect the rank and file collector. And it's one of those things where if a couple of millionaires rip each other off for $1 million card, it's not something I'm really going to care about. Although if there is enough other interest in it, it's something we can definitely talk about in the course of, say, the live stream, because that's usually been the venue for something where I don't feel like it warrants a standalone video. But in the course of a discussion where other people can chime in, where the chat can chime in, that to me has always been a lot more fun in that venue and in that format. Otherwise, I'll leave you with 2 clips from Neo's 2-year YouTube celebration, where I was able to join in with Flip and Steve, as well as Filmington, who made a memorable entrance, and one other clip that I'll share with you from the same live stream. And then the rest of it will be various clips through a couple of different live streams that I pulled. It is not even close to some of the funniest stuff, but Bushi Eric features very prominently. Although we did get a little bit of Justin in there because why not? It's kind of what we have to do. Otherwise, again, thank you all for joining. I look forward to hanging out and chatting with you virtually again on live streams into 2023. We'll have a lot of fun, and hopefully the new hobby year is good for all of us. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much. We'll see you in 2023. Can I touch on that last point real quick?
Just 1 second, Carlos. Hold on. You talked trash about Mike Trout.
And as I should.
And the Mike Trout Defense Force has showed up.
Oh my God, it's Filmington, and he's so distraught that he couldn't even take all of the camera crap off the screen.
What is going on with your camera right now?
He's got no audio. Like, this is how distraught he is. This is terrible. He has no defense for this poor excuse for a baseball player.
He's been backstage for a minute because Steve was talking. I didn't interrupt him. So he sends me a DM, and I was like, I see you. And then he comes on. His audio doesn't work.
Yes.
And I can see, I don't know what is going on. Like you're
seeing everything on his camera. And you're seeing everything he's ever had on his camera. Every setting. Now you know Filmington's secrets.
How do I turn this off? So
at this point, you might want to click at the leave studio button.
I just wonder if he actually would win a World Series if the narrative street would flip, and that alone
would help. I don't think it would be dramatic. Your question was dramatic. I don't think dramatic. Exhausting. The battery also gave up the Trout defense. It all surrendered.
Lost. Fatality.
Can't even. This was a virtuoso performance by you. This may be your best work yet. Is there anything you want to say?
I don't want to.
I knew it. Why did they make it so easy for me? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I got that one.
that's-
Yeah, okay, hold on, I got this one.
That's the one. You know?
Yeah, okay,
The
hold
upside
on,
down
hold on.
Jordan.
We got it. Hold on.
It's upside down holder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right side up.
Now, to be clear, I want to make a quick point of order here. This is stupid. However, I should point something out. This is the same man that does one touches upside down. So how do I know? How do I know that Eric is not the one directly responsible for this, and he's trying to throw shade at Beckett? Boston cream is my choice. Yes.
Eric, your favorite donut?
Chocolate stick.
Okay, he should be Boston cream, but I mean, a chocolate stick.
He probably felt it was redundant. He goes. He just said cream.
Is that?
He's like, I'm already in Boston. I don't need to call it that.
If I went to Dunks, as they
Yeah.
call it, they changed their name. It's not like Dunkin' Donuts anymore. It's Dunks. If I
Yeah.
went to Dunks, I'd say, "Can I have a chocolate stick?"
And what
It's
is a
just,
chocolate?
it's just a, it's a chocolate donut in stick form. It's a stick. I don't. It's It's,
Do you actually put it on a stick?
Is it
No.
cakey or yeasty?
and looking for the with the Montreal screw job. I figured you'd like that one. People are looking for stuff like this.
Andy, focus, buddy. We're running a professional show here, buddy. What are you doing over there?
I mean, look at your name, Eric.
I try not to. Because if I respond to these things, it just encourages them. It's like working with
Nothing
a
you do discourages me.
child. It's like working with a child. Sometimes you have to ignore the behavior.
It doesn't work.
No.
I can pretty my parents. It doesn't work. Eric, who are you fighting in Thunderdome? You got mortal nemesis.
Oh boy.
Your correct answer should have been Bob Jackson. You shouldn't be having to hesitate.
No, after I'm done with Brad, and I turn him into a pretzel. All right.
Mhm.
Then
With your bad hip and your bronchitis and your rest of your
and that's
disintegrating
fine,
parts.
Brad. He's no problem. Easy. Then I'm going to focus all of my attention.
You know, Brad used to play hockey, not like you pretending to
I'm
be a
gonna-
poser that you know anything about
I
hockey.
am going to give my full attention to Beckett, and I am going to break.
You're gonna break Dr. Beckett? He's
I'm
kind of
gonna-
old, man. Bert Bladem is old too, but he identifies as Dutch, so he's
I'm
my
gonna
mortal
start
nemesis by default.
Going to the prison and finding the true owner of Beckett, and I'm going to fight him in the yard, old school.
Yard.
All right?
Prison.
We're going to have shivs and all and things like that. Tiger's on the 9th hole, and he's trying to pick a club. He has more clubs in that bag than he does hookers at home. Stuff like that.
Wow, you want to get beat up? You want to fight Tiger at Thunderdome? He'll kick your ass.
Who keeps hookers at home?
Eric,
What?
do you keep hookers at home? Why do you know so much about this? Why do you know where hookers can be kept?
Well,
Explain.
Well, I mean,
What kind of highfalutin lifestyle are you living over there, bougie Eric, with your chocolate sticks and hookers at home?
Well, you don't want to be caught out in public with them. You sneak them into the dark and get them out before dawn.
You want to keep digging there, buddy? You want to just keep digging a little deeper? Eric, is there something that you would like to talk to the rest of the class about? Anything in particular? Anything you could think of? And your name is even more appropriate given that little intro.
I was hacked by
Mhm.
Russian bots,
Interesting.
and
Russian book
Is that what you want to go with?
yes, I was
Hmm.
hacked by Russian bots.
by
Yeah.
Russian book.
The lesson here is that the internet forgets nothing. That really should be the takeaway here.
Yeah.
Because that was not Photoshop. Nope. That was real. That was a screen grab.
I typed it.
Yep.
And sometimes you can't see sarcasm in print.
I didn't see anything sarcastic in there. That seemed legit to me, and it really plays well into the photographic evidence we had last week.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it all kind of fits together. The pieces are starting to come together a little bit. I'm seeing the vision.
I expected something such as this from you.
So Bob, do you know why I am? You know why they compare me to MJF and why they say like I'm like an uber heel just naturally in things that I do? Because I do stuff like this.
Oh, here we
Eric,
go.
do you want to retort to this?
I saw.
All right, have a good night, everybody. See you next week.